Welcome back, everyone. We're about to take a deep dive into something pretty profound today. It's the significance of Crippled Sunday. You might know it as the Sunday of the Crippled Woman. And it's a big deal in the Malankar Orthodox tradition.
Oh, yeah, it's a really special Sunday.
It is. And our source material today is super interesting. It's this YouTube podcast with these two priests, Father Gabriel and Father John.
Oh, I've seen that one.
You have?
Yeah.
They had a really fascinating discussion about, well, the healing of the crippled woman, you know, that story from the Gospel of Luke.
Right.
And what's so cool is how this miracle, especially during Lent, goes way beyond just, you know, a physical healing. It's like this powerful symbol for spiritual liberation. It really makes you think.
It really does. I mean, when you think about it, the woman's condition, you know, not being able to stand upright for 18 years.
Oh, yeah.
That's not just a physical ailment, is it?
No.
It's like a picture of a deeper struggle, you know, like spiritual bondage.
Yeah.
And then to add to that, Christ heals her on the Sabbath, a day that's meant for rest and worship. Adds a whole other layer to things, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. And it almost feels like it's this challenge to societal norms by choosing to heal her on the Sabbath. Like he's putting compassion above the rules, emphasizing mercy, liberation.
Absolutely. And think about where this happens, the synagogue, you know, the place of religious authority.
Right.
Talk about a challenge. I mean, it really highlights the message that sometimes compassion has to go beyond just sticking to the rules.
Yeah, totally. Makes you think about what St. Ephrem the Syrian said about it all. He saw this miracle as like a preview of the new creation. You know, the woman standing upright.
Oh, yeah?
He said it's like the new Adam rising in Christ's resurrection.
Wow. That's a powerful connection. Really adds another dimension to how we understand this miracle.
It does, doesn't it? The woman being freed physically, it's like a mirror for the spiritual liberation that Christ offers.
Exactly.
And it ties in so perfectly with Lent, too.
Oh, it's so relevant to Lent.
Yeah.
You know, that time when we're supposed to renew ourselves spiritually.
Yeah.
Breaking free from sin.
Yeah, just like the woman was freed from her physical limitations.
Absolutely.
You know, this reminds me of something that Father Gabriel and Father John were really emphasizing in the podcast.
Yeah.
Compassion and liberation.
Right.
The two big themes of this miracle. They go hand in hand, don't they?
For sure. It's not just about Christ feeling sorry for the woman.
Right.
It's about giving her power, too. Freeing her physically and spiritually.
Exactly. And he does it so publicly, too.
Yeah.
Right in front of everyone.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that adds another dimension to this whole idea of liberation.
It does. It's like Christ is saying, hey, everyone, look, this is what compassion looks like. Now go and do the same. See the suffering around you and do something about it.
He's calling us all to be like little vessels of his compassion.
Exactly.
Going out there and making a difference.
I love that. Little vessels of compassion. That's us.
It really does make you think, you know? Like, if we're supposed to be these agents of compassion, what does that even look like in real life? Like, what can we actually learn from all this, from the crippled woman and from what Christ did?
It's a good question, a really good question. And it's something that Father Gabriel and Father John really get into, you know?
Yeah.
You talk about how this miracle, it's like a reminder to be more compassionate, just in our daily lives.
Yeah.
You know, just to really be present, to see the suffering around us, and then, you know, offer to help, listen, or even just say something kind.
It's true. Sometimes the smallest things can make such a big difference.
Exactly.
And it is so easy to get caught up in our own stuff, and we totally miss what other people are going through.
Easy to forget.
This miracle, though, it really challenges us to open our hearts, you know, to be more aware of the needs of the people around us.
Yeah. And to seek our own liberation, too.
Yeah.
You know, like how the woman was trapped by her physical ailment. We can be trapped too by things that hold us back spiritually. You know, bad habits, negative thoughts, self-doubt, all that stuff.
Like those limiting beliefs?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this miracle, it's like an invitation.
To what?
To look at our lives.
Oh.
To figure out what's keeping us from standing tall, literally and, you know, metaphorically.
It's funny you say standing tall because it makes me think about the woman's perseverance. 18 years. She had to live with that condition for 18 years.
It's incredible. It's a real testament to hope, you know, and to resilience.
Yeah.
Her story is saying, even when you suffer, even for a long time, never give up hope.
Right.
Healing and liberation might not always happen right away, but that doesn't mean it's not possible.
Right.
Sometimes it takes time, patience, faith. It's a reminder to trust in God's timing, to believe that He's working things out,
Yeah.
even if we can't see it.
That's a beautiful thought, especially during Lent, a time for reflection, spiritual growth. And speaking of Lent, maybe we should talk about how ɁΚαπίπτω Sunday is actually celebrated in the Ł Orthodox Church. You mentioned the Cedro prayer earlier.
Yeah.
What part does that play in the service?
The Cedro prayer. Oh, it's a big part of the Καπίπτω Sunday service. It's like, it sums up all those themes we've been talking about. Compassion, liberation, perseverance. It's this beautiful prayer asking God to deliver us from the chains of sin,
Oh, okay.
like how the woman was freed from her physical limitations.
So it's not just about remembering the miracle.
Right.
It's about really engaging with it through prayer, through reflection.
Right.
Connecting it back to our own Lenten journey.
Exactly. It brings it all to life. It's like a personal invitation to take the message of the miracle and apply it to our own lives. There's one line in the Cedro prayer I find really powerful. It says, loose the bonds of our sins and make us worthy to stand before you without shame.
Wow. Powerful stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
It really hits home. True liberation. It comes from breaking free from the things that keep us away from God.
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it, how much meaning can be packed into just one prayer and how it all connects back to Καπίπτω Sunday. It's like the whole celebration in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think so. It shows you how rich and deep the Ł Orthodox tradition is. They use liturgy, prayer, to make these old Bible stories come to life and to make them relevant to us today.
When you take a step back and look at everything we've talked about, it's really striking. This simple miracle, this story from the Gospel of Luke, it has so much meaning.
Oh, it really does.
So many layers to it.
Yeah.
Healing and liberation. It's physical. It's spiritual. It involves the community. It's personal.
It's like a tapestry,
Yeah.
made up of all these different threads.
Yeah.
But they all come together to tell this beautiful and complex story. And it's not just about needing healing and liberation, but about what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Taking action. It requires us to participate, both the person who wants healing and the people who offer compassion and support.
Wow. That's a big realization. We're not just sitting on the sidelines.
Right.
We're part of this process of healing and transformation, our own and each other's.
Yeah.
We have to be there for each other, to seek and to offer compassion and support. And when we do that, we become part of something much, much bigger, something that reflects Christ's love.
You said it perfectly. And that's what makes celebrating Καπίπτω Sunday so special in the Ł Orthodox tradition. It gives us this way to connect with these deep meanings, to connect ancient wisdom with our lives today, and to see how we can be part of our own liberation and the liberation of others.
This conversation has been so eye-opening. It really shows the power of stories, how ancient wisdom can still be so relevant today. It makes you realize that you can take these familiar stories, and if you really dig deep, there are always new things to discover, layers of meaning that we might miss at first glance.
That's so true. And that's why these traditions like celebrating Καπίπτω Sunday are so important. They give us this lens, to look at these stories in a new way and find that wisdom that can help us in our lives today.
One thing that really stood out to me was that idea of the crippled woman representing all of humanity. Like we're all burdened by sin.
It's powerful, isn't it?
It is.
It's like this universal symbol. It doesn't matter what your background is, what you believe, everyone understands these themes. Compassion, liberation, perseverance. We all have our own struggles, and we all want healing. We all have the potential to change and grow.
And thinking about her healing as like a symbol for our own potential transformation, it really makes you wonder, what does that say about how much Christ can heal and liberate us?
It really does. It's a huge question. It makes you think about how powerful and how loving Christ really is. I mean, if he can heal someone who's been bent over, both physically and spiritually, for 18 years, think about it. What can't he heal in us, no matter what we're going through?
It's a reminder that no matter how long we've been struggling or how heavy our burdens feel, there's always hope for healing, always hope for transformation.
Yeah. And it's not about just waiting around for a miracle. Like the woman had to want to be healed. We have to actively participate in our own liberation too. We got to choose to stand tall, to accept that grace and to actually take steps towards the healing we want.
So as we're wrapping up our deep dive into Կαπίπτω Sunday, I'm hoping that our listeners are feeling, a little more hopeful, that they understand a bit more about compassion and liberation, and maybe, they'll feel inspired to keep learning about this amazing tradition.
I hope so too. And more than anything, I hope they're curious about the miracles, the healing, the transformation that could happen in their own lives. Like, what would it look like for them to really experience that kind of liberation? What are those things that are holding them back? What are the chains in their lives? And how can they find the grace to stand tall? I mean, literally and metaphorically, of course.
Wow, those are some really powerful questions for our listeners to think about. And with that, we'll leave you to continue your own exploration of this rich and beautiful tradition. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Kpippo Sunday. And until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep the conversation going.